Hello and welcome back to ERU, where we round up the biggest results and talking points from across European football. Joining me on this Monday morning, it's Michael McCubb in for your viewing pleasure. McCubbs, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Dukes. Not too bad. Still recovering from our FD night out at the end of last week, if I'm honest. Not really, but it was a fun time, so it's good to see you all. Yeah, all good, thanks, Dukes. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good. I went to my first football match since the pandemic on Saturday. Sunderland-Gillingham. Sunderland played appallingly, but we got the job done. 2-1 win, down to 10 men as well for the final 20 minutes. So, as McCubb said before we started recording this, the sign of champions. And that is what the energy I'm going to bring to this week. Sunderland just getting the job done, no matter what the circumstances. But let's get into today's show. We are going to kick off with our story of the week. And it's the news that came out at the end of last week, but we want to see where he could sort of take it. And it's Raheem Sterling looking to play abroad at some stage in his career. McCubbs, what's gone down?
We obviously last week, Raheem Sterling said that from a young age he had dreamt of playing abroad. And he said if there's an opportunity to go elsewhere that he'd be open to it. This obviously comes with the backdrop of him not getting much game time this season. Obviously he started that 2-0 win over Burnley on the weekend, but was fairly quiet. Obviously he was playing that kind of false nine role, the kind of role that sometimes you don't see as much action as you would like to. But one dribble, one key pass, one shot, not great in a Man City side playing against very defensive Burnley outfit. And he's also only started 4 of the season's 10 League and Champions League games so far this season. So even by the kind of standards of Pep's rotation, he's not seeing much game time at all. And especially considering that City are without a recognised striker at the moment, or at least they don't play with a recognised striker in that role. There's obviously been a lot of speculation. Pep Guardiola even commented on it and was clearly not best pleased that Sterling had gone public with those comments. Nevertheless, Mundo Deportivo claiming that he's really interested in Barcelona. Obviously, Ousmane Dembele's future at the club is pretty uncertain. The Express claim that Madrid, Arsenal and even Newcastle are potential options as well. Obviously, take all of these rumours with a pinch of salt, considering the sources they're coming from. But Sterling has for a while now been linked quite strongly with Barcelona. In the past, Real Madrid have been linked with him as well. But Dukes, who do you think out of those two El Clasico rivals would he suit? In the hypothetical situation that he becomes available next summer, and either of those clubs can afford him and want to prioritise him, who would you choose if you were Raheem?
Yeah, well, I think that's crucial to say in terms of Real Madrid at least, because it seems very unlikely that they would go for Sterling as long as they've got 30-year-old Eden Hazard and 32-year-old Bale on their books, who earn a combined €1.08 million per week together combined. Obviously, Sterling potentially wants to move in January. It looks like Barcelona might go for a loan move with an option to buy him next summer. Maybe that will be enough for Sterling. That will interest him. But for Real Madrid, it looks pretty unlikely. Next summer, we know they're going to almost definitely sign Mbappe. And with Vinicius Jr. having played so well so far this season, with 5 goals and 2 assists in 8 La Liga games, there's an argument that Real Madrid don't even really need him, with Benzema still playing so well as well. So it could be an Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. and Benzema frontline next year. Do you really want to get Sterling involved in that? I'm not so sure. Barcelona, it's a different story though. Dembele has been out injured so far this year after that injury he picked up during the Euros. Fati is still coming back to fitness. So without those two players, they really lack any threat in behind, with Luke de Jong particularly immobile. And Sterling, with his pace and incredible output, it has to be said, he's got 65 goals and 29 assists in his last 131 Premier League games. That's 0.7 goal contributions per game in that period. He'd be a fantastic upgrade on their current wing options, much more experienced than Fati as well. And especially considering that Dembele is he's missed close to 100 games with injury since joining in 2017. So his future looks pretty uncertain, as we said. Maybe it's the time to maybe look to shift him off before his contract runs out. I think it's in 2020. Oh, no, it's next summer, I think. So rather than lose him for free, sell him in January, if they could bring in Sterling either on a temporary basis or permanent basis, I'm not sure how that works with their finances. I think he'd be an excellent addition. and is needed far more at Barcelona than Real Madrid, and he can be part of this new generation of Gavi, Frankie de Jong, Pedri, etc. that are all coming through, and Araujo as well, who look really promising. So I'm definitely on board with him going to Barcelona. Are you in agreement with me, McCubs?
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool to see him in La Liga. Whether it's like the best career move for him in terms of where Barcelona are at right now is another matter, I think. That there's so much uncertainty about where Barcelona are at and where they're going. That, like, say in 2-3 years, they could be, challenging amongst the elite again. But like financially, it's just so hard to see that. So out of the two, I think you have to go to Barcelona, especially if you want game time. I think at Real Madrid, it's much less of a guarantee. I'm with you on that. It would be cool to see Sterling at Barcelona for sure.
Nice. Guys, are you in agreement with us? Do you think it's a better choice for him to go to Barcelona than Real Madrid? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let's move on to our result of the week.
Our result of the week comes in from @Isak on Twitter. Thanks for the suggestion. And Dougie, Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern Munich. What on earth happened there?
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. But to be fair, in this weekend, we could have chosen a few results for results of the week. Obviously, Barcelona got a comprehensive 3-1 win over Valencia, which featured Aguero's debut. Juve inflicted a 1-0 defeat on Roma that included yet more penalty drama in Serie A. More of that in due course during our Star of the Week. But the most impressive result of the weekend was definitely Bayern sticking 5 goals past Bayer Leverkusen in 37 minutes and eventually winning 5-1. So they went into this game level on points, but it didn't take long for De Rotten to establish their superiority, scoring after just 3 minutes and taking advantage of some hapless Leverkusen defending, it has to be said, throughout this game. Bayern were dominant. They had 60% possession. They had 27 shots with 11 on target to Leverkusen's 6 and 4. XG had it at 3.5 to 0.7. And the best thing about this from a Bayern perspective was with Benfica coming up this week, which looks like it's going to be the hardest game in their group so far. They're currently on 4 points, Benfica. Nagelsmann was able to take off Alphonso Davies after just 40 minutes for a rest and took off Müller, Goretzka and Lewandowski all before 65 minutes as the game sort of petered out in the second half. Now, they took the lead through Lewandowski's improvised flick finish after a nice assist from Upamecano, and then Bayern scored 4 goals in 7 minutes between minutes 30 and 37, with Müller grabbing a lucky deflection, Lewandowski his second as a nice take from him, and Gnabry scoring 2 in 2 minutes, including one. The goal he scored after Müller's, I think, came virtually from kickoff, with Jeremy Frimpong giving the ball away in midfield. Now, this is the 5th time in 12 games this season that Bayern have scored 5 goals in a single game. Their 29 league goals, an average of 3.6 goals per game, is 5 more than anyone else in Europe's top 5 leagues, which is PSG, who have played 2 games more. And I think they just look like the outstanding team in Europe right now. And everyone on Twitter was using this as a stick to beat the Bundesliga with. But look how dominant Man City and Liverpool have been in the Premier League in the last few years. Bayern are at that level, if not slightly above. They are just incredibly dominant right now, and there is a lot of competition for Champions League places, Europa League places in the Bundesliga. It's still a very, very competitive league. It just maybe doesn't have that competition at the very top right now. But McCubs, for Gerardo Seoane, this was a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you there, Dukes. I think it's Bayern's dominance of the Bundesliga, I think, has always been, or at least in the last 10 years, has been a much more a sign of just how strong they are than the strength of the teams around them. I think it's just a shame that there isn't that other team like you have, like say in the Premier League, who can kind of financially compete with Bayern Munich. But if they were in any of Europe's top 5 leagues, they'd probably be top right now. We spoke about this game on Continental Club, and I think we were all pretty much in agreement that the defence could be a worry for Bayer Leverkusen. And Seoane's been rightly praised for the start to the season, that they've in terms of their attack they've been incredibly exciting. This was quite an immature first half performance from them. Obviously went down really early on, and when you concede to Lewandowski like that in the opening 3 minutes, your head's always going to drop a little bit, I think. But equally, the defending wasn't great from the set piece from which that came. Was it even a set piece? But at least that the ball that came into the box, there was and Upamecano's kind of knockdown evaded about 3 or 4 players. They left huge gaps in midfield. They struggled to stop the counter. The centre-backs, Tara and Sunu, particularly poor. 3 tackles and interceptions between them, which, considering the onslaught they faced in the first half, not really good enough. Didn't help that Baumgartlinger, Palacios and Aranguiz missed the game. He was forced to play Demirbay and Amiri as defensive midfielders against Kimmich and Goretzka. I was a little bit concerned when I saw the lineups. And yeah, they just couldn't get close to them. Kimmich created 6 chances in total, kind of what we're used to seeing from him, but against the kind of main title challenges at the moment, that is a lot. And yeah, like you said, Dougie, Jeremy Frimpong struggled as well. Leroy Sane, up against him, managed 85% pass accuracy. He created 4 chances, 8 shots, hit the post, of course, and completed 4 dribbles. So a massively dominant display from the Bayern attack. They've now won 5 straight games against Leverkusen, scoring 4 or more on 3 occasions. Obviously, Leverkusen being a little bit, less than watertight at the back is nothing new in the last couple of years. But it was also a very dominant defensive display from Bayern as well. I only saw the first half in full, but it didn't look like they were going to concede. I was actually quite surprised that they did concede in the end.
It was a bit of a sloppy goal from Luca Hernandez, sort of, dropped off, switched off is the right phrase.
But they were just so dominant at the back as well. Upamecano was great alongside an unusually shaky Hernandez. 97% pass accuracy, made 5 tackles. Obviously got that assist for Lewandowski's opener as well, won an aerial duel. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. The front 4 were just immense. But we'll have to give it to Gnabry in terms of a man of the match. Completed 3 tackles, 2 dribbles, 3 chances created, and scored 2 goals off 3 shots. Was just incredibly clinical when it mattered. So yeah, props to him. Very much been one of the best kind of wide players in Europe over the last 3 years. And just continues to do it on a consistent basis, doesn't he? Nagelsmann's side are now 1 point ahead of Dortmund, with the best attack and the second best defence behind Freiburg, who continued their unbeaten run on the weekend, didn't they? Props to Freiburg. But yeah, Bayern Munich look like they're going to run away with the Bundesliga title once again. I'm not sure what you think, Dukes.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're just far too strong. When they get going, the sort of cohesion they've got in that attack and midfield, now they've been so settled for a number of years as well. Upamecano's coming at the back. Alphonso Davies looks back to his best as left back. Right back's probably their only weakness really in their squad. And they're just going to be far too strong for the rest of the Bundesliga, even with Haaland coming back this weekend and scoring 2 goals as well. I just can't see Dortmund lasting the course against them. Leipzig look a lot off it at the start of this season as well, sort of integrating under Jesse Marsch. So yeah, this is Bayern's definitely to lose, and I'd be very surprised if anyone beat them over 2 legs in the Champions League as well, is my personal opinion right now. But guys, do you guys agree with that? What's the distance going to be between Bayern and the rest of the league? Or do you think maybe there could be a shock? Let us know in the comments down below, and let's move on to our star of the week. Okay, it's time for Star of the Week, and it was Felipe Anderson for us this week, at the suggestion of @CapsLock McCubs. What went down with the Brazilian?
Yeah, he's had a brilliant start to the season, hasn't he? He's re-entered Lazio just as he left it, and was integral to their 3-1 win against Inter Milan, which lifted the Biancocelesti to 5th, and 3 points off their opponents, the champions of Italy. And it was a brilliant game, wasn't it? Full of drama. Inter took the lead through a 12th minute penalty scored by Perisic. He's now become the first Serie A player to score a penalty with both feet. Note that down for your next pub quiz. Lazio came back through Immobile, Felipe Anderson and Milinkovic-Savic, all in the final 30 minutes of the game as well. Anderson was fantastic. He worked really hard off the ball. He won possession 3 times. He also completed 5 dribbles, sustained a 98% pass accuracy, 6 chances created, 2 shots and 1 goal. He now has 3 goals and 2 assists in 8 Serie A games this season. But Dukes, lots of controversy in this game, just what we like to see, especially at the end. Loved it. But yeah, what went down?
Yeah, it was spicy, to say the least. But just before I go on to that, 98% pass accuracy from Felipe Anderson, like a winger or someone's playing as an attacking midfielder. That's insane. But yeah, back to the spice. Basically, Inter's penalty appeared to be pretty soft. I thought Barella went down very, very easily. Bastoni was then adjudged to have handled the ball from almost point-blank range. The sort of distance that we are seeing Premier League referees try and stay away from this year. And then Lazio's second came with DiMarco lying on the pitch. Inter's players, particularly Denzel Dumfries, were absolutely furious about this, but then they hadn't really taken into account that Lautaro Martinez had tried to play on before and then lost the ball. Lazio then countered and Felipe Anderson then scored, so it kind of ruined their argument. Yeah. But there was no surprise when it boiled over after the final whistle. Luis Felipe, the Lazio centre-back, jumped on his former teammate Joaquin Correa, sparking a brawl and getting himself sent off. He then left the pitch in tears. Inter were no doubt frustrated with their first league defeat of the season, but I didn't think Luis Felipe, I didn't really get it. Like, I know he's probably your mate and he left obviously in the summer, but if someone jumped on me, even a friend, after we just lost a dramatic game in a highly sort of charged atmosphere, yeah, I'd be pretty angry too from Joaquin Correa. So I thought he was perfectly right to overreact. And Luis Felipe got himself sent off as well in the process for just basically being a fool. So I didn't have a lot of sympathy with him. But yeah, this was Lazio's fourth win in their last 7 games against Inter and continued their sort of strange start under Sarri. They've beaten Roma and Inter, but lost to Bologna, lost to Milan as well, but that's not as strange, and could only draw against Cagliari and Torino as well. So a little bit inconsistent under Sarri. It tends to take teams a while to get used to his style of play. But yeah, with Felipe Anderson, Milinkovic-Savic, Luis Alberto as well, looking back to their best this season, I think they'll be in the mix for that 4th spot potentially in the Champions League, or at least contending for 5th. So yeah, well done to them. And what a weekend of action all across Europe as well. Can't wait to get stuck into the highlights of all the games I missed. And McCubs, if they've enjoyed ERU for this week, what should they go and watch now?
Well, yeah, they should go and watch last week's Continental Club, because we discussed managers under pressure. We did a bit of a kind of mailbag episode, so we answered about 5 or 6 of your questions about kind of European football, Ballon d'Or, stuff like that. Go and check that out.
Nice. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. Thank you very much for watching ERU, and we will catch you later in the week. Bye.